Hello, hello. Spencer.
Hello.
Hi. Look at this.
I know. How you doing?
Good. I'm so happy to connect with you. I'm just going to tell you the honest truth. Here's my confession.
Mhm.
I invited you on this live just because I want to hear how you are.
Yeah, I love that.
It's all personal.
Mhm.
It's all like for what I want.
Yeah.
No, it's so good to see your face. I want to quickly just share how we met because I think this is just such a cool full circle moment. So our friend who I just saw popped on, named Joe O'Keefe, reached out to you because I was hosting a fundraiser happy hour in Atlanta, Georgia. And my sister was hosting that for me along with a lot of her neighbors and community. And Joe reached out to you and asked, did you want to come? And you
Mhm.
said, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, and the coolest part about that, I just feel like this is such a neat thing. Like here we were there for Wake Up Maggie, and then you shared you had this vision of biking across the US,
Mhm.
which we'll get to. But yeah, I just am like, this is so cool. I love being
I
a
know.
part of
Full
your journey.
circle.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes. So I'm blabbering too much, but why don't you just give a quick introduction of who you are, if you want to like
Mhm.
say a few things about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Spencer Klein. My dad had frontotemporal dementia, so that's how I'm involved in the FTD world. Um, and he had a C9 genetic mutation, which causes ALS or FTD. So a big thing. What I'm passionate about is trying to raise enough awareness and funding to find a cure in my lifetime. That's a big goal, and for me, and something that drives me and what I'm really passionate about. And yeah, like you mentioned, I just completed a cross country bike trip where I helped raise awareness and funding and posted daily on my Instagram, sharing different facts and my story of FTD each day. So it was very rewarding, had some bumps and bruises along the way, but all in all, accomplished what I set out to do. So it was amazing.
Yeah. You have like inspired me in so many ways. Like I think, you know, here I am like looking at making my first feature length
Mhm.
film, and it's like intimidating, and I can't imagine like how the bike ride was the same thing of like doing something unknown that you know is going to challenge you. um yeah, I want to get into more details on all of that, but
Yeah.
can I would love to hear more about how like a little bit more about your dad and like
Mhm.
of how FDD impacted you personally.
Yeah, so I was young when my dad started showing symptoms. Um, so I was born in '98, and he probably started showing symptoms in early 2000s. So most of my childhood is my memories are of the disease and not really my dad. Um, and so it took 7 years to get the FTD diagnosis. He was misdiagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's. Took him to an Alzheimer's clinic, and they said, no, it's not Alzheimer's, it's depression, anxiety. Um, he just had triplets, so it's probably all the stress with that. Um, and so, luckily, my mom knew something wasn't right and it wasn't him, and she kept fighting to, get a proper diagnosis and figure out what it was, and finally got the FTD diagnosis and got introduced to the AFTD community, where my mom actually serves on the board, and I'm an AFTD ambassador for the state of Georgia.
I didn't know your mom served on the
Hmm.
board. That's amazing.
Yeah,
How old were you when you got when your dad got his official diagnosis with FTD? Do you remember?
I think I was maybe 7 or 8.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah.
So that's
Hmm.
like you can't. You're just like, okay, cool. Can I go play with
Yeah.
my
Hmm.
friends?
Yeah. Like I remember like my parents fighting a lot when I was younger, because and so I'd be like on the stairs listening to that night fighting and like thinking they could get divorced. And then finding out no, just dad's just sick. Um, so yeah, luckily my mom knew that um his personality changes wasn't um, the man of who she married, and um, took him to a doctor and got um, like a leave from work, a medical leave from work, until she could find out what was going on.
And how old was your dad when you all lost him?
I think he was 56
Okay.
when he passed, and he started showing symptoms in his early 40s.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's so wild. Yeah. And how long ago was that for you?
He passed in 2012.
2012. Yeah. I, ugh, yeah. It's just, I think, so I can't, it's like I can't even wrap my brain around that. Like, as a mom, I have four kids
Hmm.
myself, and like, I'm just trying to even like imagine what it's like to have your partner, your kid's parent,
Hmm.
go through that and trying to figure out help for him while you're also parenting young children and
Hmm.
triplets.
Yeah. Hmm.
Oh my God.
My
Um,
mom's hands are definitely full.
yeah. How long do you know how long they were married before your dad started showing symptoms?
I do not.
Yeah, no worries.
Mm.
You didn't know you were going to be
Yeah,
quizzed on family
I know.
history,
Hmm.
huh? Yeah. So how would you say FTD impacts you today?
Mm, that's a good question. Like it's definitely something I always think about.
Mhm.
Like knowing that me and my siblings are at risk of developing FTD one day.
Yeah,
Um, I think that definitely it's on my mind a lot,
yeah,
and like part of it empowers me, part of it um, I think it hold me back in the way when um, I'm thinking about it too much, and like I feel like my life could be cut short.
yeah,
So I think about um, like am I doing like what I want to do in the time I have?
yeah,
Um, and so sometimes I get caught up on that. Um, but it's great meeting other people impacted by FTD and
yeah,
sharing stories because everyone's story is so different and FTD shows in many different ways. And um, so I love connecting with other people and hearing their story and sharing my story. And I feel like a lot of that, helps me grieve of sharing my FTD story.
yeah. I totally agree with that. And I think like it's so funny because I resonate so much. Thank you all for your comments too. I'm seeing them as they go up. I saw that your mom is a superhero, Gail.
Mm,
That's so cute. Yeah, I think that for me too, because we haven't had testing in our family to know like any
mm,
kind of gene connection, but my mom was diagnosed with FTD in her 60s, and then my uncle, her brother, has been recently diagnosed. And so, of course, with that diagnosis, I just
mm,
got like,
mm.
you get this, it's like traumatizing because you're just like, you've seen someone go through it, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I could die that
Mhm,
way. But at the same time, there's this weird gift to it too, because that fear, if we let it, can force our presence in life in a way that
mhm,
we don't always have, meaning like you just said, I want to live my life to the fullest.
mhm.
I think that all the time. And one of the reasons that I think of this movie that I'm making as a calling is because of that. Like, I want to make a whole bunch of movies. I have so many ideas. It's so
I love that.
exciting. But then, um, but I'm like, but I don't know what time I'll be allowed,
Mhm,
and so I'm like, okay, this one's happening first. It's gonna get made. I'm so freaking
uh-huh.
determined to get it down the line because I'm like, this might be the movie I make.
Yeah.
But what a great thing to contribute
Mhm,
to this, to raising awareness. Um, Back to you, like, I kind of would love for you to just reflect on what your goals or before you took this bike trip across the country, which this just
mhm,
happened for those of you who don't know. Spencer and I met in April
mhm,
of this year in Georgia, and you said, I'm thinking about doing this trip, and I'm like,
mhm.
you have to do it.
Yeah,
um, and I was so excited because you actually started in Oregon, where I
yeah.
am.
Mhm,
And you started in
mhm,
June. I
mhm.
remember because it was the same weekend as my son's graduation from college. I couldn't help like I
Yeah.
wanted. But when you think back to starting it, and what you hope to experience, or like whatever expectations you had, and now that you're finished, could
Mhm.
you give us some highlights on like how those thoughts compared or to reality, and what you wanted to accomplish?
Yeah, like I would, I don't know, like I knew I wanted to raise money and, share my story. And like I thought maybe a few people would watch and make it like a few thousand in donations, and
Yeah.
ended up raising over $57,000, and attracted over 200,000 people to my videos, which was crazy.
So
Um,
cool.
so I think like, maybe at least half of those people, if not more, now know about FTD who didn't before.
Yes.
And like my therapist was actually telling me that she has a patient who is telling her about her husband in their 40s who um, is going through dementia changes, and they're not sure what it is. And because she followed along my story um, and me sharing all the facts about FTD, she was able to share the facts with them and give them resources to FTD. And now they're looking into that, which is sad, but also,
Mm.
made me like really happy in a way that, it's why I wanted to do it. And um, so people could, help their loved ones and get a proper diagnosis and not have to go through the multiple misdiagnoses and take years to figure out what's wrong with your loved one.
Right, right. It's like the
Hmm.
sooner that it does help, so you're
Hmm.
not just like swirling in confusion and like feel like you're wasting time at doctor's appointments
Yeah. Hmm.
or with like medications or
Exactly.
like, yeah, all the crazy stuff. Um, can you talk about the physicality of like biking every day for how
Uh-huh.
many miles? Like, oh my God, like there's so many things. You've got this mental piece, you've got this like heart, fear, like grief piece, and then you
Hmm.
just have the fact that you're making your body ride that
Yeah.
that much every day.
It was tough. Like the first, I'd say 2 weeks probably toughest. And I'm not a cyclist by any means, or didn't do a ton of preparation beforehand. Um, I figured I'd kind of build my tolerance and strength as I go, um, and started heading into the Rockies, which was lovely.
Oh my
Um, and
God.
so like the first 2 weeks, the butt definitely hurt, the legs were sore. Yeah, saddle soreness is a real thing. Um, but as I went on, it got easier, and had some broken bones along the way, but continued pushing. And um, yeah, it was quite the experience. I met a lot of nice people who were willing to help. And
Mm,
like as soon as I shared my story with them, like a lot of people wanted to help out and be a part of the journey, which was amazing. And didn't actually get to finish in Charleston, so broke my collarbone um, about 5 days short of my finish. And asked my followers and people who were following along to help come bike the
mm,
last 300 miles for me. And um, in a way, it was almost like a more beautiful way to finish, because with FTD, you really need a community of support. And
mm.
like having a community of people support me and help me finish was truly incredible.
Yeah, totally.
Hmm.
Like I thought that, I mean, I can't even imagine like the pain you were in that point, but then I also think like it was such a beautiful finish that you
Hmm.
had to rally everybody and that everyone was riding together and
Hmm.
contributing. I just want to point out, I don't think you're allowed to say I'm not a cyclist by any means. Like, I don't think you can say that
Uh-huh.
anymore. That's number one.
Hmm.
Um, Number two, like, I love like your youthfulness in this because you're just like, I'll just train on the road when when
Uh-huh.
I do it. It's like yes to your 20s. And I also watched you along the way, like just eating whatever you
Hmm.
could, like after the ride. I loved it. I was like, yep, this
Yep.
is so good.
Yeah, it was
Um,
great being able to eat whatever I wanted. Really didn't
yes.
didn't matter. Hmm.
You're like, get a dozen
Yeah,
donuts tonight.
burn it off in a second.
Totally. Probably just
Yeah.
can't keep fueled enough. I was gonna ask you something. Oh, totally lost my train of thought. Yeah. Oh, I know. How? how did you not like I was getting like such an attitude for you with like
Hmm.
people like with the dog and with the truck that ran you off the road,
Hmm.
and you were just so kind about it, and like you're just like, I had an accident, and I'm like, no. Like,
Hmm.
how do you keep smiling with all of that? Like, it's just, you endured, I mean, the ride alone is a lot to endure.
Hmm.
Weather, muscles, physicality, like having your needs met, like just the basic needs. And then getting faced with two different injuries. Like,
Hmm.
what kept you going?
Um, like I think overall, just wanting to, finish this, I guess, project, so to speak, and
Yeah.
continue to raise awareness um, and like do it for my dad and me and my siblings. Um, I think that is really what pushed me.
Mm,
Um, like like when the dog ran out in front of me and like trying to figure out like how can I keep going because I feel like it was so early on and like that happened in Idaho. I think only 2 weeks in. Um, like how can I keep going?
mm,
And because I wanted to see, the impact that this whole adventure could have.
yeah.
Um, and so really, I saw a few different doctors and went with the one that said like, yeah, I guess you could continue. So I was like, good enough for me.
I
Um,
got a yes.
yeah. Um, and so just kind of kept pushing through that um, and then with breaking my collarbone, it's tough because like I envisioned this whole time of riding my bike up onto the beach and
Yeah.
having friends and
Yeah.
family and people that support me along the way there
Mm,
um, and not having that like I guess storybook ending,
yeah.
um, but being able to get people to rally around me and
Mm,
like seeing the support that way
mm,
was truly incredible. And we still did like a celebration in Charleston, which was fun. And maybe I'll go back later and finish the last 300 miles from Covington, Georgia to Charleston. Um, but yeah, it was incredible and um, definitely worth every second.
yeah. How has life been? Yeah. You're mind-boggling to me.
Hmm.
I'm like thinking about all of that. I was thinking one thing is like when you're speaking about how we don't get to control the ending so
Hmm.
often, like, or this is the one true thing about life is that we aren't in control.
Yeah. Hmm.
and the way we want things to go sometimes go that way and sometimes they don't, but what a beautiful alternative story that you
Hmm.
got to experience that wouldn't have happened had you not been in need like that. So it's our vulnerability that connects us like that. But I want to know for you how life has been since that
Hmm.
celebration on the beach. Like, how are you healing? Like, what are you doing now with your time?
Yeah, so I've been healing pretty well. Um, I started physical therapy last 2 weeks ago,
Okay.
so the shoulder's getting better. I can move it a little bit more.
Okay.
Um, and I actually start back out at work tomorrow. So I took a leave of absence. So I go back to work tomorrow, which will be an adjustment, but
Yeah.
good to get some routine back. Like it was tough going from, waking up and knowing I was gonna bike every day. I didn't have to really think about much. To going to like waking up and like what do I do today? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think too like having all the endorphins of cycling every day to not being able to do much with my broken bones, like also had an impact.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, excited to get some routine back to my life and
Yeah.
trying to think of other ways I can continue to spread awareness or
Mm,
um, do some other things. So we'll see. We'll see
yeah.
what's next.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep me and us at Wake Up
Yeah.
Maggie posted on how we can support you. I feel like
Oh.
so much, I feel like a community of all of us, like wanting the same things, wanting
Hmm.
stories to be told, awareness to grow, all of that. And I'm so impressed with you. Um, I can imagine like the mental switch that
hmm
took from having all that excitement and then like now what am I doing?
Yeah.
um, but I am glad the job is there for you and that you
Okay.
can get back into life because I know
hmm
that was a concern
Yeah.
too. So,
hmm
um, last question. I'm curious where you find your support and hope. I know
hmm
Joe also asked, could you tell us about regional network of FTD folks in your region? Who are the champions you've discovered? So maybe if you want to highlight anyone that feels like a particular support or help, but I would just love to know, you know, where you feel hope in this
hmm
FTD story that you're living,
hmm
and where do you feel support?
I think really like the AFTD community and
Mm-hmm.
AFTD team and everyone that works there. Um, they helped out so much during my bike trip and um, helped me with connecting with different media stations and supported me along the way. And um, they're always willing to help any way they can. And so I find a lot of support in the AFTD community. I think just like friends and family. Um, I'm very open about um, what I went through with FTD um, and that there's a chance that I might have it. And so um, just, you know, allowing me to talk about it and share my story and the support from loved ones. And when I post things, all my friends were reposting and sharing my story as I went and telling their friends about it and all that. So a lot of support from friends, family,
Yeah.
girlfriend, and the AFTD community as a
Yes,
whole.
yes, yes. I just want to give a shout out to you at Spencer Klein. Please, you should all go back and look at your journey that you took across the US biking. Your updates were so great and positive and fun. And just like the amount of money you rallied from that effort is huge, and like but even more the community. So I'm so happy to have connected with you. I'm so
Yeah.
thankful for your support and encouragement to Wake Up Maggie movie and the work
Mhm.
we're doing. And I just feel like we're going to keep amplifying
Yeah.
everything, and there will be cures for
Mhm.
FTD for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited for you too and Wake Up Maggie
Thank
and can't wait for it to be complete and continue to follow along.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Thanks for coming on today.
Of
And
course.
yeah, just reach out if you ever need
Thank
anything.
you. You too.
Okay. Bye, Spencer.
Bye.
Thanks for joining everyone.
Thank you.